Welcome to Chapter 7 of the McFluff story. Mostly sculpting and digging, but there's gardening and other things as well. Gertie needs to find something because she has got an opportunity to make a Simbot. Here's the sculptors: Marge Murray, Fred Martin, June Joyce, Maureen Murray and Stan Steptoe. And the cats. They're all there, you just can't see them all. The cats are Cheeky, Princess, Tom Tom, Tiny, Stinky, Grey, Tabitha, Wanderer, Joe, Pounce, Shadow, Fluff, Coco, Ghost and Socks. You know what they say about herding cats? Well, they're not like ordinary Sims when you try to get them all together in one spot. Trying to get 15 cats that can run really fast to go to one place and stay there is just impossible. I tried for quite a while. I even had them sitting up on that little table, but they got down again. That's Grey and Joe having a friendly fight there. Believe it or not, they're actually becoming better friends. I guess they'd better run off too. We don't want to have cats where we want them to be. Cats don't want to be there. The cats aren't going to be there. Now, Gertie's also got a garden to establish, and at this point she's the only Sim in the household with enough skill to be able to take care of her 2 plants. There's a pair of mycenae mushrooms, but she's going to be planting quite a few more by the end of this episode. She needs the plants to be able to make her elixirs and potions and things that she's going to need in the future, if she's going to do some of the magic that she hasn't quite thought of yet, but she will be doing, or trying to do. Once she's done her gardening, I'll send her off to the greenhouse, where she can gather a few seeds and things, and do some digging. There's Stan Steptoe in his sleep attire, I believe. Couldn't stand the state of the kitchen any longer, so he decided that if nobody else was going to do it, he would just have to give it a bit of a clean. He's insane. That's why he's in here, because he does a lot of fun things when he's sculpting. But I think June Joyce has actually done all she needs to do for us. We don't see Stan actually sculpt at all in this episode, because he got a job. And I actually let him do it. He's a video game programmer now. He goes off to work, which means that he's taken himself out of the picture for most of the episode. Not all of it, we still do see bits of him, but he doesn't have time to do any sculpting. So there it is. Now this cat, I think it's Shadow, was causing me issues because the game insisted that it was stuck. But I came and found him and he wasn't stuck. He was just there trying to climb out of a window, and of course cats in Sims 3 can't climb out of windows. Of course, it could possibly have really been stuck somewhere, and I've got NRES Overwatch mod in my game, and it usually handles stuck Sims. So he might have got unstuck all by himself, just with the help of Overwatch, before I found him. Now, June is downstairs in the top basement, where her 4 sculpting stations are set up. I'm trying to keep them all to their own sculpting stations, but they do often autonomously just use the random stations. Anyway, here's June. She's making something in wood, and she doesn't do anything spectacular. She just makes her sculpture. Of course, like most things that happen in this household, there's usually a cat or 2 to keep an eye on things, to make sure that things go according to plan. It looks like it might be Tabitha. Now that is Maureen Murray's sculpting stations, and she's got a metal sculpture in progress there that she hasn't finished yet. And it's one I asked her to do because she kept making the same one over and over again. That's Simbot scraps. And this is a different sculpture. And Gertie, I've got her trying to invent something special, but what I didn't realise was she'd already done it. And I was quite happy when I did discover it. Back to June. Now she's choosing the thing she sculpts. I'm just telling her what to use, whether it's stone or wood or whatever. So it's always a surprise to me what she comes up with. Here she's made us a base game trash can. So it actually works. You can put your trash in it. The thing about letting them just sculpt anything at all, if you just choose the material to sculpt it with, is that's how they learn to do new things. But often, once they've learned a few, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. But once they've learned enough different sculptures, they're never going to learn all of them, I don't think, with a single sim. But once they've learned enough, then you can just tell them what you want them to sculpt by choosing to sculpt a specific sculpture in a particular type of material. It's like inventing. If they don't know how to invent something, all you can do is tell them to invent. But once they've learnt how to make something, then you can tell them to make one of those particular objects. We've got Gertie inventing for a while because I'm trying to get her to do this specific sculpture or a specific invention. That looks like an interesting thing that Maureen's making out of ice. I'll keep that one. It can go downstairs. I've seen it before made many times, but not in this save. And so June has made a toilet. It's a functional toilet. It's made of wood. I guess it's better than ice. Just imagine sitting on an ice toilet. Just keeping the three of these Sims busy at the moment. And then Sam turns up. He's still on his sleepwear. I'd much prefer to have him in his everyday outfit. It looks so much more fun. Deep thought. That looks like what June is making now in wood. We'll keep it as well, put it downstairs. So we've got a few busy sculptors. Now the next level down there's space for 3 more. That cat gnome is still sitting on that table. It first got on the table while the table was still on the sculpting station, and I moved the table across there very carefully, expecting the gnome to take off at any time, but it didn't. We're back with Stan on the top level basement. He's making a gorgeous chair. I like that chair. It's from a base game chair. I think this big urn is from World Adventures. I'm not sure. It's another chair. I like the furniture. That's what I wanted all the ice sculptures for, was ice furniture. Although I wasn't too keen on the ice toilet, the ice rubbish bin, but they all work. Not that they're ice made by June at this point, but I think I'll get her onto ice soon because she's not really showing us all the fun she can show us when she's sculpting with wood or clay. I think the stone and the ice might be fun because the stone breaks. Apparently the stone has faults in it sometimes and it will break, and that's what I want to see, her reaction to that. The other thing I want to see from June is her reaction when she starts sculpting with ice. I'd like to see if she does what I've seen many Sims do, which is lick the ice and have their tongue get stuck to it. After a hard day's sculpting, the sculptors all got very sleepy, and here they are, all 5 of them sleeping in their beds. Go and see what the cats are up to. I think that's Choco. He's got fleas. Might need to get washed in the pet hygienator. So a bundle of fleas went in, and out emerges a nice, squeaky clean, unnaturally clean kitty cat, all ready for action. I'll have to get all those sculptures that they finished away. And there's another cat that's come out of it. There we go, we've put the sculptures away. I'll be downstairs now. The cats go into those things autonomously most of the time, eventually. But sometimes I come across a cat with fleas jumping off it, and I feel the urge to tell it to go do it immediately. There's enough of them around. I've got several hygienators upstairs. There's even some at the back of the house on ground level outside. Here we are next morning. Gertie's come down stairs to the lowest basement level where she's having a little game of shuffleboard. I'll get her to change into her everyday outfit, I think. Looks like that garden needs tending again. Gertie's the only one who can actually weed it. Some of the others can water it, and I might get somebody to start watering and to try to get their gardening skill up a little bit. Gertie had a few seeds in her inventory, and I've just put them out on the floor here. She desperately needs a piece of palladium and a pink diamond. And I don't know how we're going to find the palladium. I guess it'll turn up eventually, but I want it now. I always want things before I even thought about wanting them. And I've decided that she's a witch, so she can cast some spells on these seeds and see if she can convert them into something else. Well, she got a butterfly that time. Piece of cheese. A different seed. Another conversion ritual. That just turned into a different seed. Those cats are coming through all fast, aren't they? Another butterfly. We might as well keep that bit of cheese. Now, what is that metal? Is it the one we're after? I don't think so. What did she get? Iridium. Well, that's no good. Green chili seed she got instead that time. Another butterfly. I've done this with witches before, and I have had literally hundreds of seeds, and you just get random stuff over and over again. All that really happens is they lose their power. You've got to keep having rest. It looks like a truffle. It is. It's truffles. She might as well plant that. And now she's going to... What is that? Something I'm sure she doesn't need. Yeah, it was a grocery item of some sort. Now she's got another butterfly. At least you can use the butterflies in her elixirs. That's where she got the glow orb mushroom from. We better keep that. We can plant that one. Might put that cheese in the fridge. Now down to the garden, and she can plant those things, the glow orb and the green chili. Then she'll need to go off to the greenhouse and see what else she can find. So she didn't have much luck with her conversion rituals, did she? The digger up in the backyard, it's dark, but she can still dig, and hopefully she'll get a bit of palladium that way. Or a pink diamond, she needs both. The butterflies always attract the attention of the cats. They like to catch butterflies when they go hunting, I think. Looks like June's got babies on her mind. Wonder if that'll affect her what she sculpts. When she's given free will as to what she's going to sculpt. Put that cheese in her inventory and then she can put it in the fridge later. Gertie's still outside with her digger. The fireflies are active at night as well, so she might go and catch a couple of fireflies while she's got the opportunity. I think I'll have to send her overseas to France to collect some of the rarer fireflies because she's just getting the same ones here all the time. So in the future episodes we might get some adventures, probably to France, because we're really after fireflies rather than doing tombs. So with her digger she has found one of those tunnels that she can explore. There's nothing much in the tunnel, so I sent it to the greenhouse where she did a conversion ritual on a seed she found on the ground. And that was when I remembered why I don't do that sort of thing. She can't collect them. So she analysed it and then she set it free. It was actually a light beetle, I think, that she got. Now she's playing with magic. I think we would like her to collect some seeds. Now that's a familiar sim. He turns up at Gertie's place every so often. especially in the middle of the night, and just sits outside and plays with his computer. So we've got Gertie collecting seeds, and when she's got a few we'll get her digging. But she might have to go to that Humble Harvest stand first and see if she can buy anything that she needs. Sometimes you find surprisingly useful and rare items there. Most times you just get ripped off. But it's a great place to consign produce if you need to make money. Just see what's in there. Anything useful? I've got lots of extra harvestables because I've got lots of mods that add extra harvestables to my game. Yeah, porcinis, they're rare, very hard to get, and not often available in your Humble Harvest stand. So she's going to plant them when she gets them home. And these are the things she's going to sell out of her inventory. So she's doing a bit of bartering here, a bit of buying and a bit of selling. They won't actually sell directly, they're put on consignment. She'll get paid when somebody comes along and buys them. So here she is digging. She spends the whole day there digging, and all she ends up with is a couple of little things and a hole that she had to fill in. The one thing she found was Gertie almost drilled through a strange object before stopping to haul it up. A gnome of some sort. How very curious. So now we're going to have gnome number 2. Just a quick view of the greenhouse from the distance with Gertie digging in her digger in the centre there. And we leave her to it. We're not going to sit and watch all the time that she spends digging. Back at the home lot, June is watering the garden. It's all she can do because she doesn't have any gardening skill yet. Or maybe she's got one. She doesn't have much of a gardening skill. She can't tend the garden. She can't weed the garden, but she can water it. And at least she's got the little blue bar above her head. Oftentimes when I send a sim to do something like this and they don't have any gardening skill at all, it just never happens. They garden for hours and they get no gardening skill out of it. So then I send them to a class or get them to read a book. And then once the gardening skill gets established and they can act, they do have some skill, at least one, then they can gain more skill by actually doing the gardening. So Stan's busy working with ice, and I've got June to start working with metal. You've just got to be careful when they first start. That's when they'll catch on fire with the metal sculptures. She's quite safe now, I think. I've never seen one catch fire after the first second of sculpting in metal. So the gnome has moved. It's come down to sit outside the all-in-one bathrooms. They like to do that, especially if there's only one bathroom and the gnome can sit out front of it and stop the Sims from being able to use it, which is great when a Sims catches on fire and it's in a desperate rush to get extinguished. And Gertie is still digging back at the greenhouse. Some townies showed up and started dancing with the dancing sunflowers. Eventually there was about 3 or 4 of them there doing it. June's making progress on her first metal sculpture back at home. As you can see, the house is falling to bits, so they're going to have to move eventually, but this is all Gertie could manage at this point. I've been thinking of what world to go to next, and I don't really like that big mountain right next to the house. It makes it very hard for camera angles. It throws the camera around when I'm trying to video things. So I think I'd like to go to a world that has a large lot and is very flat all around that lot. And the most appropriate world I've thought of so far is Lucky Palms. So that could be where she will move eventually, but not quite yet. There'll be a few more episodes in Hidden Springs first. Well, after all that digging, all Gertie got to show for her troubles is a gnome, a mysterious Mr. Gnome, and she now has to fill in the hole. The next place she's going to try her luck at with the digger, or the miner, is at the festival grounds. So she set it up right in the middle of the festival grounds. Hopefully none of the festival goers will object, and she will dig there for a while now. That's what I like to see, furniture being made in ice. That looks like Marge is making a beautiful lounge chair. Fred's doing something in stone. Gertie's still working at the festival, and that's a familiar figure turned up. That chap right in the middle in front of that table, the picnic table in the middle of the screen. That is Oscar. And I put Oscar in Hidden Springs because he lives in Hidden Springs but in a different game. And I placed him in here just in case he might show up occasionally, just for the fun of it. He's got a baby bottle over his head now. That's Oscar, from the Oscar and Louise series of videos. You'll see Gertie's cats, and Gertie maybe sometimes in his videos as well. Now I've discovered that in this version of the game, Oscar, who is a townie in this game, I don't play him at all, he has a partner, Emmeline Rowan. So I might try to match him up with Emmeline Rowan in his own version of the game before he meets Louise. Just for fun. That's Granny Shoe there on the right with the back to us, and the two little shoe boys who are chatting to each other. Looks like Oscar's lost interest in the digger. Stretching. I just like to see Oscar in here, that's all. That's why I'm looking at him now. But that's him if you haven't seen the Oscar and Louise videos. That's Oscar. She got lucky this time and she's got a tunnel she can explore, so I'll read you her adventure that came with this tunnel. Gertie has entered the tunnel with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Who knows what underground adventures await? Tracking a prehistoric sauropod is difficult business with just one. But when the whole family showed up, Gertie had to get out of there fast. Gertie came across an almost exact replica of Stonehenge, except for a large stone creature sleeping at the centre of it. Wisely, Gertie decided to let it keep resting. At least Gertie didn't get crushed by collapsing tunnels this time around. Gertie did manage to snag a couple of things. Hopefully they didn't fall out on the way up. During the adventure, Gertie collected silver and citrine. Back at home, the sculptors are playing with the group science project, and you can see where I've been storing some of their sculptures. Haven't quite organised how I'm going to arrange them eventually, but they're downstairs being kept safely for later. Gertie's come home and she's doing a bit of inventing, and she's let the new gnome out of her inventory. So now the household has two magic gnomes, a mysterious Mr. Gnome and a cat gnome, which I forget the exact name for it, feline, something or other. And I'll let you know when I work it out. June's working in stone, and remember what I said to you earlier, how she has babies on her mind? You'll never guess what she's about to make. Yep, it's a potty chair. A stone potty chair. Not real sure what she thinks of that. I thought she'd be happy to have a potty chair, but she doesn't seem to be. So she's going to work in ice now. First ice sculpture. She seems happy about that. She's finally got her hands on some ice. Of course, it's not for 1 second do I imagine that June is feeling all like babies because she's feeling motherly. No. June is probably just wanting to have a baby around so she can steal candy. June's traits include mean-spirited, evil and grumpy. Her only redeeming features are she doesn't like people much either because she's a bot fan, but she does like cats. She's in this group just for the fun of watching her reaction to certain things. And I think it might be the grumpy trait that gets her to do some things that she's doing. Now she's sleepy. So off she goes. Have a sleep. The cats are sleeping as well. She must have been hungry as well because she's come up to the kitchen to eat something. Sometime later she's feeling all refreshed and I've got her back to sculpting in the ice. It's an evil laugh, isn't it? She's got a chainsaw in her hand. Lucky she's a sim and she can't go chopping anything up with other than her ice. So she's making more baby stuff, and this time it's a high chair. Again, it's a base game chair. There's a potty chair and a high chair. I'm wondering how many of these are new to her, because I keep telling her just to sculpt with a particular material. I'm not telling her what to sculpt. Maureen's making new furniture as well. I like that. Another chair and a little end table. Now watch carefully at her. Oh, she licked the eyes and now her tongue's stuck. Oh, but that hurt. Did you see her look around first? Sneakily before she did, rubbing the hands together. Up she flourishes with the chainsaw. And she begins another ice sculpture. Now you can see why I wanted June in the video, because she is entertaining at times. Maureen's got a little flourish she makes with the chainsaw as well when she starts a sculpture. We might see that later, I hope. It's just a gentle little thing, sort of like a flirting with the chainsaw. Not like June, who has an evil cackle as she waves it in the air. Now we're about to see what Maureen is making, and it is magical. A fountain. I'm so happy. If you don't have a mod in your game that lets you choose it, that fountain, you can't actually ask them to make it, even when they've made them before. You can't say, do me the fountain. There's two sculptures that they can do autonomously that you can't ask for, and that is that particular fountain and the sculpting gnome. Now that fountain's working. I'm not sure if it's working because I have Fountain Fix mod, or if it is actually one of the EA fountains that does work. Apparently they did all the hard work of making the program so that they could all work, and then they turned them off. And the modder, all they had to do was change a little flag. And they did that for all of the fountains that didn't work. That's the griffin that June has just made in ice. Or she's looking around to see if anyone's watching, and then she sticks her tongue out and she gets it stuck. And that hurt. Now she's getting ready to start the ice. The evil cackle. That's got to be her evil trait that makes her do that, with the ha 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 and waving the chainsaw around. So Gertie's having a go with the group science project. She was already level 10 in the science. This is her group science project that she got for getting to be level 10 in the science skill. But it gets them to level 10 very quickly. The other ones that are not having the science skill to start with, they get to level 10 very quickly with this. In one episode, not this one, but in another episode at some stage, I'll get them all to work it, and we'll have a downpour of things like gems and meteors and whatever, a meteor shower of riches, which happens. Now here she is with the garden. Now she's got some more seeds now because she's been to the greenhouse, and I might get her to do some more planting once she's tidied it up. So there she is. We won't watch her do the whole thing. It's mainly just individual different things. There's a few little trees. This whole garden area, it's all she's got for a garden, which is a very small garden by my standards. And I thought what I'd do is put the low-growing bushes and shrubs and things in amongst the trees. Normally I put the trees all well spaced apart and then plant the other things in a different garden. because the trees need a blank floor above them and the rest of the garden doesn't. But in this instance, we'll just scatter things around. But now she's planted them, she's never going to have time to look after this garden, so I will have to hire the gardeners to come and help her out. There's a few trees in there, but mainly it's just little low-growing items. I think the ones that she's planting at the moment, I think she doesn't know what they are. Most of the seeds that she's planted, she knew what sort of plant she was planting because it was identified. But she had 15 unidentified seeds, and that's what she's planting where she is at the moment. So that could be a mixture of trees and low-growing things. We'll tidy the garden up later on in another episode if necessary. So this is getting close to the end, and I wasn't sure how to do the ending. And then suddenly an alien appeared, and I thought, oh, we haven't had an alien yet. And then I thought, we're getting all sorts of strange creatures in Cake Island. And how about we have an alien in the household? So when he met up with Gertie and there were hearts, I decided I just had to add him to the household. So, this wasn't planned. The alien just turned up to check out the house. And then he met up with Gertie because she came out to see what the cats were howling about. He's having a bit of a sing-song. That's the alien voice there. This is going to be fun. I didn't think of putting an alien in the mixture of Sims that we've got. But now that he's there, I'm thinking a fantastic idea. Trying to entertain the cats. I think he likes cats. So he's going to be perfect. I keep expecting him to go inside through a door, but he doesn't. Perhaps I've got the doors locked. I usually lock the doors because of the paparazzi. There's Gertie. Why does he think she's a ghost? Maybe she reminds him of somebody. Anyway, that's it. He's in the household now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.